"It's okay, little one," the girl said softly, crouching in the rain beside the stroller without a second thought. "We're going to fix this right now." The baby had been crying for 3 minutes, sharp, exhausted cries that cut through the sound of rain on pavement. The stroller's front wheel had caught in a sidewalk crack and bent sideways at a hard angle, locking the whole frame. The canopy was half collapsed and the rain was coming in at the baby's face. Pedestrians had moved around them the way city people move around inconvenience, efficiently, without stopping. Fennec Hale stood 6 feet away under the awning of a closed bookstore, his phone in his hand, his jaw tight. He had been trying to get the wheel free for 90 seconds before the stroller mechanism confused him. He had owned it for 3 weeks and still hadn't read the manual. And then a girl in a wet canvas jacket had appeared from nowhere and crouched beside it like she had all the time in the world, and none of it was more important than this. He watched her work the wheel free with both hands, reset the axle pin with a small, deliberate click, and tilt the canopy back into its locked position. She did it calmly, efficiently, in the practiced way of someone who understands how things fit together. Then she stood and tucked the baby's blanket back into place and made a small sound, low and steady, until the crying slowed. The baby looked at her. She looked back. The rain continued. Her name was Renly Marsh. She was 25 years old and had been living alone in a one-room apartment on Decker Street for 2 years, since her mother moved south to live with her sister, and Renly decided quietly and without drama that she was old enough to figure things out herself. She worked at a hardware supply warehouse on weekday mornings, stocking and logging inventory. On Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, she took community college courses in mechanical engineering, slowly and steadily toward a certificate she had been working toward for 3 years. She carried a small multi-tool in her jacket pocket the way other women carried lipstick, not from habit, but from the genuine belief that being able to fix things was a form of freedom. She had been walking home from class when she heard the baby crying. Fennec Hale was 33 years old and had founded a supply chain software company at 26 that had grown through 7 years of relentless and occasionally lonely work into something significant. He lived alone in a clean apartment in the Meridian building 6 blocks from where he now stood. His daughter, Pip, 1 year old, round-faced, currently studying Renly with the focused intensity of someone conducting important research, had come to live with him full-time 4 months ago when her mother, Fennec's former partner Della, accepted a 2-year position overseas. It had been agreed between them, practically and without hostility. He had said yes before Della finished the sentence because Pip was his, and he did not need time to consider whether he wanted her near. What he had not anticipated was how completely a 1-year-old could reorganize every confident assumption he had about his own competence. He had built a company. He had managed teams of 40 people. He could not, apparently, reliably collapse a stroller under 4 minutes. "Thank you," he said, stepping out from the awning. The rain had softened to a fine mist. "The axle pin shifts when the wheel hits an angle. You just have to reset it straight on." She glanced at the baby, who was now quietly chewing the edge of her blanket. "She's all right, just cold and wet." "She," he said. "Pip. She's fine. She's tough." He said it with the particular pride of a new parent who is still mildly astonished by the person they've been entrusted with. Then, because the moment felt like it required something more, is there somewhere I can drop you? My car's a block away. It's the least I can do." "I'm fine," she said. Then she looked at the sky and at her canvas jacket, which was thoroughly wet through, and said honestly, "Actually, if it's not out of your way." He drove her to Decker Street. Pip fell asleep in the car seat within 4 minutes, boneless and total, the way infants sleep. Renly sat in the passenger seat watching the wet city pass and answering his questions, where she worked, what she was studying, with the direct brevity of someone who doesn't inflate themselves but doesn't diminish themselves either. "Mechanical engineering," he said. "Community college?" "Certificate program, 3 years in." A pause. "I know it's not a 4-year degree." "I didn't say that." "People think it." He was quiet a moment. "I hire people for their actual skills, not the institution that certified them. That's not a line, it's just true. I've learned it the expensive way." She looked at him, not suspiciously, just steadily, measuring whether he meant it. He did. What Renly did not know, what she had no reason to know, was that Fennec's company had recently opened a junior mechanical systems analyst role on their operations team. His HR director had been filtering applications for 3 weeks with limited success. Fennec looked at the job description the evening before and quietly rewrit it, removing 2 credential requirements that he'd decided were gatekeeping the wrong things. He was not thinking about this as he drove Renly home. He was thinking about the way she had crouched beside the stroller without hesitating and fixed the thing calmly, in the rain, for a crying baby that had nothing to do with her. He thought about it again that evening, after Pip was asleep, sitting at his kitchen table with his laptop open. He sent a professional email 2 days later, found through the community college's student inquiry line, which he called directly and explained his purpose to honestly. The email was brief and careful, and transparently explained who he was and how they met and why he was writing. He included the job listing. He said that if she was interested, she should apply through the standard process and that he would not be involved in the evaluation. He said he was telling her about it because he believed she should know it existed and because he had seen how she worked, and that was the whole reason. Renly read the email twice at the warehouse on her lunch break, sitting on an upturned crate with her phone in both hands. Then she read it a 3rd time.
She applied. She got the role on her own. 3 interviews, a practical assessment, a reference from her college instructor. Fennec kept his word entirely and stayed out of the process. When HR told him who they'd selected, he felt something settle in him that he recognized as the satisfaction of a thing done correctly. On her first week, she passed him in the corridor with a key card she was still figuring out. He held the door. "How's Pip?" she asked. "Tougher every day," he said. "I finally read the Stroller manual." She smiled, the first full one he'd seen. It changed her whole face. "And? There's a page on axle pins," he said. "Apparently it's a known issue." "They should put that on page 1, she said. "I told them that," he said, "in the product review I left at 11:30 on a Tuesday." She laughed, surprised, genuine, and kept walking. He stood in the corridor for a moment after she turned the corner, and felt for the first time in longer than he could name that the day had something light in it. Goodness does not wait for the right moment or the right person. It crouches in the rain beside a crying baby and does what needs doing, with steady hands and no audience required. The kindness you give without calculation has a way of finding you again in forms more generous than you imagined. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.